this is Run the Numbers. My name is Jason. We're in motion today doing this video for the Run the Numbers channel as part of the warm-up series. So that means, yep, we're on the go, walking through the beautiful streets of Los Angeles, California. This video is also part of the 100 videos challenge. So that's to get 100 videos published onto this YouTube channel so that they're out into the wild and done in 100 days. So yeah, published to YouTube in just 100 days. That's basically a video a day, making a whole lot of content that helps you on your personal finance journey and beyond, really. So today we're going to continue talking about side hustles. This is a whole lot of videos already done, so go check them out related to side hustles kind of this whole week. If you've been watching them as they've been coming in, you've been entertained this whole week about side hustles. And yeah, that's really because I've been asked to do yet more videos about side hustles, more videos that are related to potential areas of income. I've been given a whole lot of videos about, savings and ways to invest and all this, but really the true driver for wealth is the ways you bring in income. And I'm not talking just about, your interest income and other things of how your money can grow for itself, but really how you, get to work. So yeah, so of course then that leads very well into discussions about side hustles. And today I'm gonna talk about side hustles and how you might have various roadblocks and different things that are stopping you from either starting your side hustle to begin with or having your side hustle kind of accelerate or get to the point where you're happy about the side hustles that you have. So today's something of identifying what your roadblocks are for that are getting in the way of your side hustle, as well as some potential thoughts as to how to reduce those and take out, eliminate those roadblocks to your side hustles. So the first thing to mention is that, yeah, you might be having trouble just getting started. And that might be because you're having a tough time deciding and settling on what a potential side hustle for you might be, what fits well for you. And for that, I guess the easiest way to combat that roadblock, that element of an issue, is really just to mention that the best way to get started is really just get started. So jump into a couple different side hustles, possible side hustles, and try out this or that and kind of plan out to some extent, but really the best way to do it is just realize it's not going to be perfect from the get-go, and give it a try. Obviously I can speak to that in many different situations. It doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel and sometimes it just doesn't even feel good to really be so new at something, and sometimes that means you're going to be very bad at it, but that's okay. People understand that you're just getting started. There's a little bit of kind of some leeway that you might have in different situations. Now if you're trying to do a side hustle where right off the bat you're presenting yourself as bringing forward something flawless and super high in professional, and basically you need right off the bat to have the top of a product line that's definitely something that, yeah, you might want to think through a little bit more, how to maybe sort of apprentice, or what are ways to kind of get there eventually where your side hustle, you kind of ease your way into it. So obviously this doesn't apply, the whole kind of just get out there and try it approach doesn't apply in some situations. I guess what I'm trying to get to at the end of the day here with this get out there and try is really avoid that analysis paralysis where you are kind of overthinking and you're like, oh, I don't know, you know, there's a million reasons why it just simply is not a good idea to yeah, put yourself out there for a side hustle, and you simply never get started. So for this reason, for this situation, yeah, you gotta just overcome. First, identify that is in fact something you're doing. You're overthinking it, and just kind of think like, look, I'm overthinking it. I gotta dive in. And for me to dive in, what's my, you know, shortest path to get there? And I've said this in some other videos as to what's your path of least resistance. I specifically made a video that's, you know, your fastest way to get started. So obviously look at that video. I'll put the link to the description of that video. And basically there, the thought is, yeah, leverage pre-existing, leverage your skills you already have, leverage just other elements of things you already have. I gave even a specific example. Again, another video I did, I'll put the link to this video in the description as well, where I gave the specific example of being a tour guide. So obviously you're leveraging something pre-existing. You're leveraging the fact that you know where you live very well. You know the elements to it. Maybe you've lived there for decades. I obviously gave the example when I was something of a city running tours guide for the city of San Francisco. I signed up for that company, loved running, loved, of course, the city of where I lived, San Francisco, and knew it backwards and forwards, so I was able to, you know, point out all the things to point out to potential tourists and others. So it worked out very well for me. So you could find the same sort of similar something for you where, yeah, it could be a skill set. It could just simply be, you know, you're familiar with something backwards and forwards. Whatever it is, find something where you can just kind of launch right into it. Your ramp up is very much down to zero, really. And for that, you know, you truly get started. Okay, so I'll put all of that of what was just mentioned as to the big roadblock, and I would definitely identify this one as really the most significant one, in my book at least, the most significant roadblock that just stops a whole lot of people in their efforts to have a side hustle. And that's the trouble to get started. Now, once you're started, you know, how do you keep at it? How do you have persistence? How do you, you know, basically demonstrate your determination and push through? Well, that's definitely a roadblock. Is, yeah, when you find different different ways of which you have a little bit of fatigue, where you're finding it gets, you know, harder and harder. The things that you were expecting don't come to fruition. Just all these things kind of come into your way, come into the picture that they're difficult. And so, yeah, of course, not every side hustle is going to be super easy. You know, you definitely need to think through what side hustles are potentially easier than others, and having a difficult time navigating this sidewalk because, oh wow, that sidewalk was not level and was difficult to push through. But sometimes, yeah, you just got to push through. And let's talk about some potential ways and some kind of some things that you could make it easier, so when you find yourself facing those difficulties, those difficult times, you're super fatigued. And I should mention, you're fatigued in a way that it's temporary. You know it's temporary. You could work through it. We'll talk at length about when you're realizing some things are more permanent, some more long-term, and there's kind of more detrimental things. We'll talk about that and if it's signs for actually stopping your side hustle or potential side hustle. But this is to say, yeah, you've on a temporary basis, you're noticing fatigue. You know, what are some things to do? Well, one is it definitely helps sort of the mental boost to understand and identify the different accomplishments and the different ways that in fact you have succeeded. So that is to say, you need to have some step where you gather yourself, you kind of in now it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek a little bit of how the whole channel is called Run the Numbers. So of course I'm gonna every now and again throw in some metaphors related to running and for runners, but there's this element of when you're running and you gather something of a second wind, and this is this concept of you actually feel much better even though you've been running for a while and basically you've pushed through some fatigue. So how do you get this concept of a second wind when you're tired with your side hustle? So yeah, you can identify the ways of which you've already made accomplishments and you've done some things well. I could give some examples and all this, but for brevity, I'll kind of save that maybe for another time. But definitely, celebrate the victories that you've made. That's definitely helpful. Another thing is if you have ingrained as part of your process that you have different elements to push you forward, and I'm gonna name one specific one, is that if you have, if not one specific person, maybe you have a whole group or kind of a cohort, a class that you belong to, where you're all in the same effort together, that kind of situation, whatever it may be. But if you have some I guess what I'm trying to find here is some element to it of accountability. So that is to say, if you have an accountability buddy, I actually happen to have that. I'll give you full transparency. I actually have that here with this YouTube channel, this little side hustle I'm doing. Every Friday, I send a text message to an accountability buddy and let them know what are some of the things that I have done, what are some of the issues I'm facing, just kind of what are my general thoughts, and to be held accountable. I have one specific person, and that keeps me moving forward. I also return the favor, and I do the same, and I help him with his startup. So maybe he's looking at this video right now. Eli, it's going well. I love that you're my accountability buddy, and I love to be the accountability buddy for you. So this is to say, yeah, find someone or a group or some way that, yeah, you can have accountability worked in to the side hustle that you do. Now I'm going to mention one more thing, one more way to kind of keep knocking out the roadblocks you may have where you're fatigued and you're basically looking to find ways possibly to quit, all this sort of thing. But what's one other thing is, keep top of mind how you enjoy the side hustle that you're doing. So find ways to remind yourself of the simple pleasures of parts of what you're doing. Basically, try to, even if it seems nice and fake and you're finding that it's all just on the surface, even if you put your smile on and it's all something of an act, at some level it will maybe alter the chemistry in your brain, and just like you'll notice yourself smiling, other people might notice your smile, they might smile back, everyone's smiling, and all of a sudden everybody's in a good mood, that good mood, you know, just like, in other words, I know it's very much easier to say, but this whole element of just be happy, that kind of thing. As it relates to your side hustle, you know, just kind of appreciate, you know, oh man, I get to do this passion project. I get to do and just have this appreciation. That does go a long way. I know it's a little bit, I don't know, some some might point to that and be like, wow, you know, being happy about your side hustle won't won't pay the bills for the side hustle expenses, and you know, I get it. Yeah, this is just, you know, a mental state kind of point here, but it is something. It is part of the mix, so I should mention it here. Okay. So you might have thought I've already gone off the rails, so maybe this is a good point for me to end it here, but these are just some ways to identify the roadblocks that you have with your side hustle, understand what's going on, and just think through some possible ways that you could work through the roadblocks that are in front and overcome these obstacles. All right, hope this was something that could be of helpful to you. I'll end it there. Gotta run.